Done now 60 miles in the Pegasus 39 since I got them about a week ago, so that's quite a good testament. The stats don't really show a huge difference. In a way, for this run I preferred the Velocity Nitro 2s. Hello everybody, hope you're okay and welcome to Farnham. Now you might have seen two recent shoe reviews I've done of the Pegasus 39 and the Velocity Nitro 2s. So I thought what I'd do today is a little shoe off. Now with daily trainers, it's not really a case of how fast you want to go, but you're kind of thinking, well, if they're for your easy day runs or your steady runs, you don't want to be sort of like any more difficult than like a normal shoe. So what we're going to do today is like a 2 mile-ish loop, quite a hilly one because this Farnham's quite hilly. I'm going to wear the Velocity Nitro 2s first, and then I'm sort of going to go sort of an easy pace just to sort of feel it out, and then I'm going to switch into the Pegasus 39s, try and run exactly the same speed in those, and then I'm going to run in the Pegasus 39s again, see if I can run a bit faster and then swap back into the Velocity Nitro 2s at the end, just to sort of see how they compare. Already I can sort of tell that the Velocity Nitros just feel softer on foot. I think the outsole is basically less pronounced, even though the Puma grip is quite a good grip, but it's pretty dry at the moment, so even though I'm going off road for a little bit, I don't think it's going to be any much of an effect in terms of the trails. Anyway, so I'll get this little loop started and we'll report back on the way. Right, I'm going to start opposite Park Row here and go up the hill towards Farnham Castle. Oh yeah, up that hill. Okay, we're off, so get some nice sort of comfortable pace for this first little bit. Well, I said it would go easy, but this is quite a hill. So we're now on a track which is absolutely bone dry. Velocity Nitro 2 is doing okay. Perhaps not quite as soft as I remember from last week, although running uphill then on a trail surface isn't quite the same as doing like a road loop. But yeah, they're lighter than the Pegasus, so that should help, especially with the uphill running, shouldn't it? That's like a little detour to tick off another street for city strides. If you lived here, we're actually in the middle of nowhere. You'd have to drive up that track to get here. No tarmac roads up here. Oh, this is quite a climb, 1.3 miles, and we're still going up, just about to come to the turn when I level out and then swoop back down again. Okay, so we're now on Folly Hill, which is a big descent back into Farnham, so I just have a nice coast down the hill now, just to see how the cushioning is on the downhill bits. Maybe not as soft as I thought these shoes. I think the EVA foam on the bottom and above the Nitro foam does firm them up a bit, but just sort of putting them on foot just feel more flexible, more softer in the sort of midfoot and stuff. Didn't anticipate any steps on this route, but at least we're off the main road doing it. I'm having to obviously be a bit careful doing this. Right, almost back into Farnham. Okay, running the Velocity Nitro 2's done. It's just over 2.5 miles at 8:17 pace, so that's a fair effort considering that hill, which went on for 1.4 miles, I'd say. So we'll switch over to the Pegasus 39s now and do that exact same route, try and do it at the same sort of speed. Perhaps a bit harder than I was intended, but yeah, it's always a good test. So I'm now just walking about with one Pegasus 39 on and one Velocity Nitro 2 on, and I think it's kind of odd because the Pegasus 39 sort of fit a bit wider. I feel like I have to do them tighter, which kind of makes them feel firmer, if that makes any sense. Because when I actually walk around, I think, oh, actually, it's not quite as the firm, soft difference as I thought. So I've got them quite tight here, whereas here I haven't had to do them in half so much, even though I've got a bit of folding. Having said all that, the Pegasus 39 do feel slightly heavier, so interesting on this big hill up there, we'll well notice that. Anyway, I'll get the other one on and we'll get going on the second run. Right, so I need to do 8:17 pace, but because I'm going uphill for 1.3 miles, coming down for about a mile, then it's not actually going to do it on pace. We'll just have to watch the Garmin. I've got racing activity on this one here, and it sort of tells you how many seconds you are ahead or not, as the case may be. So if I keep it within about 5 seconds, and then that would be a good sort of test. Right, actually, instantly this feels kind of harder work in the Pegasus. Just the fact that they just feel a bit more heavier. They do feel firmer to me, actually. Right, let's put the camera down as I get up the hill. Okay, we're turning into Old Park Lane with Farnham Castle behind. Oh, that's quite a climb, that. Not the best shoe for going out climbs, because I don't think, just feel that extra weight compared to the Velocity Nitros. Okay, so we're on this descent of Folly Hill back into Farnham. I'm feeling slightly harder working these Pegasus than the Velocity Nitros. Maybe because my legs are tired, but they just feel a bit heavier, a bit stiffer, I think, maybe firmer. The midsole doesn't seem to bend as much, and I'm a bit of a sort of a toe-off runner, so any shoes that don't really flex too much at the front are not ideal. But I quite like these, and I think after these runs I'll be heading towards 40 miles in the Pegasus. Okay, done. Yeah, as I suspected, that was more or less the same time, 20:49. Right, so I think now what I do is I'll stay in these shoes and then do a shorter loop on the flat, just sort of go a bit faster than I've been going recently, sort of like a 7-something pace, just see how that feels, and then swap over to the Velocity Nitro 2s for the final run. What do I prefer? I think I sort of prefer the feel of the Velocity Nitros for those. Although when I did a long road run last week for my video, put a link up there, I did start to feel my left quads that I've been having problems with sort of since this time last year. It wasn't like painful or anything like that, the hamstring pull, but just sort of like aware of it. But maybe that's just the fact I hadn't run 10 miles for 2 months, so I was just struggling to run anyway. That could be that, actually, couldn't it? Yeah, I think they're just the fact that they're just a bit lighter, just a bit more flexible, as I said, in the toes. You know, I'm a bit of a toe-off runner, so any shoe that kind of has quite a stiff midsole, which the Racked is, I think it's softening up a bit, I have to say, but that sort of run, not actually ideal, although the trail worked out okay. Maybe the colour's not great, because I've got this light sort of grey-blue colour, which I thought was more exciting than the black that they were offering on release. I've seen there's more colours now, and you can do Nike by You. Interesting, there's no narrow, wide, or extra wide versions in Nike by You, but I have seen an extra wide version on retail, just a standard price. So I was curious to get like another width, obviously a narrow would be better for me, to see how they compare. But I'm certainly not going to get an extra wide, that would be ridiculous, because these are pretty wide for me as they are. Right, this is Castle Street, so I walk back to the car. Okay, I'll try and do it starts here and finishes down Long Garden Walk. It's probably less than a mile, but I'll see if I can do it at sort of 7:30ish pace, just a bit of effort, see what I feel. Right, last straight, we're going past the turn where Steph 12 trains at a gym that was featured on their Sweat Elite videos. Matt Fox, if you saw my video on the Rotterdam Marathon training. Right, we're almost at the end of this loop. As is typical, of course, I ran faster than I thought I was going to there, but it was only a K, more or less, just a short K, about 6:47 pace, so sub 3-hour marathon pace, which felt quite fast, which is a bit worrying, isn't it? So I've clearly got a lot of work to do to get back to fitness. Anyway, you've got to start somewhere. Better than 9-minute miling I was doing a few weeks ago, in pain with hamstring issues. Okay, the Velocity Nitro 2's on again for this last test. They definitely do feel softer, actually, now I put them on again. You just feel that the toes I can flex a bit more when I sort of get out of my ball with my foot. So yeah, maybe it's sort of the perception of softness is not necessarily the actual softness, but how much it sort of flexes. So that's quite important, especially for me, as I say, who likes to sort of toe off when they run. Well, not likes to, it's just the way I seem to run. Right, let's get on with this then. I need to do just over 4 minutes for a K, not a race, I'm just trying to make this the same effort as the last one. I've had quite a good rest now, about a good 5 minutes for changing shoes and doing this little talk. Right, let's get on with this then. These definitely do feel faster. Just the fact they just feel lighter, slightly more flexible, as I said in the toe box. Yeah, quite nice at this speed actually. So it looks like I got those within a few seconds of each other, which is good. It felt easier than Velocity Nitros in terms of like the speed. I kind of feel like this is a shoe that I would want to take faster. It's almost like a tempo shoe almost. So I think in that sense it's quite going to be like a sort of contender for the endorphin speed. It's a bit heavier than that, but softer because the fact it doesn't have this plate at all. So yeah, my sort of concerns about taking it out for a long run, it's a bit like the Rebel 2, it just felt like it was really impacting my thighs a bit, maybe just that sort of softness and bouncing up and down as you go over mile after mile. But if it's like a short interval when you're kind of more wanting to bounce off the road as it were, then maybe that helps, just giving that feeling of spring in this a bit. And I said, just to have that feeling of toe off, just slightly a lot better in these than it was in the Pegasus. But the Pegasus I'm quite liking as a shoe to just take out and soak up the miles. It's exactly what they're designed for. They're not designed for doing intervals, although, as I said in my review video, you do see some elites doing sub 5 miling in them, but they could do sub 5 miling in probably Crocs if they put their mind to it, so that doesn't really show a lot. Anyway, so I can put this stuff in a spreadsheet and see how we feel, but maybe these use cases aren't quite the same for these shoes, and in a way for this run I preferred the Velocity Nitro 2s. It just felt they were lighter up the hills and more springy when you were going a bit faster, but I was really intending them to be more of an everyday trainer, so in that sense maybe not the use case, but certainly both shoes, they're quite cheap. I mean, Velocity Nitros at retail £100, Pegasus at retail just under £110 on the Nike website at the moment, or various other outlets, whichever you prefer. If you can get a discount on either, so much the better. Right, see you in a bit then. Hi, so it's a few days later, so this is my customary spreadsheet. Just a reminder what I did. I did this hilly loop just over 2.5 miles, first of all in the Velocity Nitro 2, then into the Pegasus 39 with a quite generous rest, so I haven't brought my heart rate right down. Then I did a shorter, flatter loop within the town centre of Farnham, first of all in the Pegasus 39, so I kept them on, and then finishing the Velocity Nitro 2. I think I said in the video that I kind of felt that the Velocity Nitro 2 was like the fastest shoe, but I think what's interesting when you look at this is that in these sort of like non-plated shoes, perhaps there isn't as much difference as you think, because although we look at the data here, my heart rate average in the first one was 125 with a maximum of 137. That was quite a hilly loop, and starting that from fresh and then going into a second one, you get a lot of heart rate drift. So the fact that the maximum in the end was only 2 beats out kind of suggests that there was more element of tiredness than anything. So if I'd have swapped those around, chances are I would have perhaps felt that the Pegasus 39 was just as easy, because if you look then at the shorter, faster loop, I did those pretty much the same time, a few seconds out, and then the average heart rate was the same. So yeah, you could argue that maybe the Velocity Nitro 2 was slightly easier, but then again they've got the heart rate maximum up 2 beats higher. Interestingly, actually, in the final one the cadence was a lot higher, although when I came in the first two, the cadence was lowest in the Velocity Nitro 2 and then went up in the Pegasus, so that doesn't really tell you a lot. I was trying out the Garmin power there with the HMR Pro, not really much to say there, it's all very much related to pace, I think. So I split it out here into the first half uphill and the second half downhill to see if there was any difference, and again I think a lot of it was heart rate drift on the uphill bit, 4 beats higher average on the second one, but again I think I was tired. And I did a pseudo sort of halfway in the short loop, very similar there, average heart rate's exactly the same on the two halves there. And we go to the second half, and as you might expect the heart rate was getting a bit higher. So I think maybe for this, the Velocity Nitro 2 is maybe slightly my preferred one, but as you can see the stats don't really show a huge difference, and these aren't really like magic shoes. I mean, I've done now 60 miles in the Pegasus 39 since I got them about a week ago, so that's quite a good testament. I mean, I've worn them pretty much every day apart from this test, I think. So I'm kind of getting more used to the slightly firmer feel in them. Maybe they're softening out a bit with the React, sort of softens out a bit. So which of these two shoes have you got? Are you thinking of getting either or? I think either would do well. Obviously the Velocity Nitro 2 is slightly lighter, it's slightly cheaper. The good news is that both of these are these days relatively cheap. Velocity Nitro 2 retails at £100, Pegasus 39 just under £110 in the UK. So I think if you're a Nike fan or you want to explore Puma, both are worth a look. So I hope you enjoyed this look at these two shoes. I may now look at a Puma Shoeoff. I've got the Liberate Nitro, I've got the Velocity Nitro 2s here, and I've also got the DV8 Nitro Elite that I've had about a month now. I haven't really done much in that yet because of my hamstring injury, but the good news is that that's feeling a lot better now. So as I said, hope you found this interesting. Like and subscribe and all that, and I look forward to seeing the next one then. Bye!